All set?
Ending homelessness is not just about building housing, nor is it about finding compassionate people to step forward. There are compassionate people everywhere. What this is about is giving compassionate people a path to step forward on. Rex Lafreniere. Hi, my name is Clara Delson, and the path I'm stepping forward on to help the homeless is called Crocheting for a Cause. This is a project dedicated to educating others on the reality of being homeless and encouraging them to take action in their own lives while answering the question, what can I, you, and all of New Hampshire do to address the problem of homelessness? What is homelessness? Homelessness is defined as lacking stable and appropriate housing. This is a very broad definition, and it is intentionally so because homelessness is not a monolith. It is a very wide and varied experience. It can look like anything from a man sleeping on a park bench to a teenager recently kicked out of their home to a mom's couch surfing as she tries to find a job. In New Hampshire, there were 1,675 people counted as homeless in 2020. This was an increase from 2019 and 2018, and it continues to increase as the pandemic does not end. New Hampshire homelessness is often a problem overlooked because it appears as suburban homelessness, which is different than the stereotype we keep in our mind of city homelessness. Suburban homelessness provides its own unique issues. As you can see from this map comparing homeless shelters in New Hampshire to homeless shelters in New York City, the resources are often dedicated to ending urban homelessness, and suburban homelessness often gets overlooked. As you can see, shelters often are very spread apart, sometimes appearing only one per county. The resources are just not dedicated to supporting everyone equally. So what is being done about this issue? The good news is that there's no end to people who care and organizations dedicated to ending it. These are organizations just in New Hampshire working to stop this issue. The bad news is there are many obstacles in the way from stopping these organizations from ending the issue. One of the biggest is the lack of resources. Funding is huge. Money is just the bottom line. You just need money to get housing and to get food and get programs like addiction counseling and mental health counseling, which is essential for these people. There's also a lack of available housing in New Hampshire. A healthy housing vacancy rate in the state is 5%, while in New Hampshire the housing vacancy rate is 2%. It's under 2%. Another huge stumbling block is policy restrictions, either from the federal and state restricting organizations or restrictions on applicants to aid organizations. Federal and state restrictions often regulate how organizations can spend their money, which prevents them from using it in the very flexible way that is necessary to provide aid. They also regulate what these organizations can do, which can make it difficult to organize with other groups over county lines. Restrictions within organizations also make life difficult for their intended recipients to get access. There are often policies like sobriety requirements that force people to stay out in the streets, or documentation requirements that force people to stay on the streets. For example, in Massachusetts, there is a right to shelter law that requires families with children to be housed. But to prove that one's family qualifies under this law, they must provide that they are in the imminent danger of losing their homes, that their income is below $1,584. They have to provide their social security cards, birth certificates, proof of lack of access, and even letters from families stating that they can't take the applicant in. This is just one initiative, but hurdles and hoops like this are not uncommon for aid organizations. So what can be done? On a larger scale, we need to increase funding to organizations and decrease regulations on them. We also need to encourage our policymakers to make this issue a top priority. In Finland, for example, they've nearly eradicated homelessness because their policymakers came together and decided that this is an issue and that everyone deserves the right to have shelter, and then they acted on those policies. Importantly, we can make the resources accessible to everyone by making applications more intuitive and shelters and other resources more accessible and more widespread. But on a more individual level, what we can all do is provide kindness. During my research, I read many accounts of people who face or have faced homelessness, and the most common struggle that they described was the extreme dehumanization of being homeless. They no longer have opportunities in their lives. People look at them like they're incapable of even the smallest task. Employers won't give them the time of day, and they're cut off from any semblance of a safety net. And they are deprived of the benefit of the doubt that many of us benefit from every day. This is a quote from a young woman who faced homelessness and describing her experience trying to find shelter at a bus station just for a night to sleep outside of the elements. She was hurled abuse at, she was thrown bottles at, people spit on her. And she said, "Well, this is my home, so please don't disturb me. It's dark and lonely and it's full of bugs." Think of the people in your life, friends and family that support you, teachers or employers who have faith in you, the support that defines you. The tragedy of being homeless is that they're disconnected from all of this, and they feel that they have no control in their lives. And this lack of control is often left out of the conversation when talking about the homeless. These are people who are active agents in their lives and want to be able to provide for themselves just like all of us. And they don't want to have to rely on our kindness. They want to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. So supporting the homeless goes beyond just shelter. It is multifaceted and different as the people who are facing this. But above all, what we can do for these people who are really struggling in their lives is to provide empathy. It is a very large issue, and it seems overwhelming, but a little bit of kindness can go such a long way. In shelters and in soup kitchens, just giving a smile and listening and lending an ear can make a world of difference. So I asked myself, how could I spread kindness to these people? And I knew that I would have to use the skill that I use to spread love to my friends and family all the time, which is crochet. I knew it had to be my senior project because it was personal and hands-on, and I knew I could make someone's life better with this way. During this project, I found a lot of appreciation in my life for the people and the circumstances that allowed me to pick up crocheting and every other opportunity in my life that let me gain a new skill or a new hobby or just to spread love. This project highlighted so many opportunities in my life, from the people who taught me how to crochet, like my mentor, Miss S., and my parents who encouraged my hobby and my curiosity, and my friends who they always have ideas for what I can create. I'm glad I could take these opportunities to help others, and though I made less than I expected my 35 hours of crocheting, I'm proud of what I did, and I know I can use these skills to help more in the future. And it really taught me that spreading kindness is something we can all do with the skills because we all have skills that we can use to spread kindness, and we should. Homelessness is an issue that seems too enormous to do anything about until you think about it in terms of individual people. Can I help 1,675 people? No. Can I make mittens for a couple people? Yes. So what's your pair of mittens? There's something you can do to help make someone's life easier, whether it's through donating or volunteering or never letting people forget about the homeless, and I urge you to take action and do it. Thank you.